the chocolate has just been updated, which means it's a lot more powerful and a lot more programmable and flexible than it was. And it was already pretty good. And add the Valeton GP-5 into the mix and you've got a really, really powerful setup. I can't believe how small this is. You can get at your feet up to 64 sounds really quickly with just this little setup. Here's a short example of just one bank, and yes, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to set it all up. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So let's get into how you set all this up. Now, unlike a lot of regular MIDI gear, the Valeton doesn't accept program change. To change patch, you need to send what's called a control change. It's not a problem, it's easy and straightforward enough to do, but this is where the advantage to the Chocolate's updates come. Because in the past, you'd be able to change 4 sounds and send 4 control changes from that, and that was it. However, now there are 8. So you've got 8 banks of 4 that you can send control changes, program changes, and anything from. So let's get into how to do it. Programming this is fairly straightforward. What you need to do is on your phone, you need to download the Cube Suite. You can do it on your desktop as well. Either is good. Then when you are on this screen here, you can then select your Foot Control Plus. It will then link. It takes a second or two to do. And there you go. So now, in this bit where it says Advanced Custom Mode here, you need to make sure you are selected that. You can go to Program Change A, B, Custom Control, but you want to be in Advanced Custom Mode. So make sure you've got that one selected. And then all you're going to do is you're going to go through and you're going to program each of the buttons. You can see at the top there, it shows you a picture of the chocolate and it relates to the buttons A, B, C and D. So all we're going to do is we're going to select foot switch A and it brings you into that screen there. Now, when you select this bit, it lets you decide whether you want to do a program change, control change, notes on or off, sysx stuff, anything you like. What we're interested in though is control change. And what I've already done is I've already set that up. So you could have a program change there or a control change. And you can see control change 0 is what the Valeton looks for to change its patches. So control change 0 tells the Valeton we're going to change patch, and then the second number, the 58, tells us which patch we're going to change it to. So in my example, patch 58 is my clean, so all I need to do is select 58 and save. Easy as that, okay? I can then go back and I can move to foot switch B. Again, select that, make sure I've got control change, not program change selected. 0 to tell it we're going to send a patch change data, and then you give it the patch you want to send. So in this case 59. So I've worked my way through them. I'm going to go back. There's my next patch, and then there's my fourth one. So that's basically how you set them up. However, there's a little bit more to it than that, because that's just one bank of 4. The chocolate allows you to have 8 banks of 4. So it says max group count. And if you select that, it'll show you the 8 groups you can select from. Then when you press 2 buttons together, it will allow you to scroll up or down through those banks. So 4 sounds on each of those banks. You've got 8 banks. That's 32, isn't it? So where does this 64 come from? Well, we'll come to that in a second. However, there is a little glitch that I do need to make you aware of. When you scroll up and down these banks, the numbers that it relates to aren't really right. So what happens is you scroll up. What's the number display? You scroll up and you get to 8. Now remember where I started? I started at 0, but it won't go to 0 anymore because there isn't a 0. 0 is 1. So you've got to be aware of that. And what I would suggest you do is just scroll through all the way until you get to 1 when you're going to play with this thing. And then you are on the one that it relates to. So I think there's a little glitch there that the display goes to 0 when it should go to 1. I don't know. Maybe they'll sort that out in another update, but that's what's happening there. So from here, we've got 32 sounds. I said you could have 64. So this is how you get the 64. What we do is we do it from the Valeton GP-5 itself. Now, you will have noticed on the intro that I kept pressing this button and the green light went from green to red. And what that means is that I've changed the status of one of my patches, or the patch that I'm on. So each patch has 2 states. Let's have a look at exactly what that means and how to change them and what you can do inside of them. So looking inside the Valeton app, this is what you get to program the thing with, and it is really quite good. But if you look, you can see which of the blocks are on and which ones are off. Obviously if they're greyed out, they're off. To change patch, just hit the patch button and then choose a different patch. Easy as that. So in this one I've got an amp and cab block selected. I could go to a different patch where I'm using one of their snap tones, which is essentially a NAM capture. So in this example, I've got, well, you can see what's there. I've got a noise suppressor, I've got my snap tone, I've got an EQ, I've got a delay and a reverb. Now, if I press the little button on the Valeton, then you will see the modulation block going on and off. Well, if you go up to next to where it says edit and go to patch settings, you can see there that each of those blocks has got a little square in it, and the one with a blue dot in the square is the one that's going to be activated when I press my little button. See what happens? It goes on and off. To make the little blue dot appear in the box, you just tap it on and off. Look, easy as that. So that's your 2 states. It's almost like a snapshot in an HX Stomp. You can't adjust effects within that. All you can do is turn things on and off. But it's still very, very useful to be able to do, because it means you can have a regular patch on your Valeton, and then you press that button and it will do something else. You can add something else to it. So a great use scenario for me would be, I often use a chorus on my pushed clean sound, but I don't want it on all the time. So if I've got my pushed clean sound, then all I do is press the button on the Valeton and it gives me the chorus, press it again and I turn it off. Dead easy, dead easy. So effectively what that means is that each of the sounds on your Valeton is 2 sounds, because there's 2 states of each one. So 32 from 8 banks of 4 on the chocolate, then double that up with 2 states on each. That gets you 64 sounds. That's pretty flexible. You know what? It's that big. That can go in your pocket. I don't know how old you are, but you know, in the 80s that would have been like a refrigerator size. Now, my biggest concern is that I've forgotten my guitar rig because I've left it in my other trousers. So there you go, that's how flexible this new setup is. Tell me how you get on. Have you got one of these? Is it making your life better? I tell you what, that really is a very, very flexible setup. And it's so fast to go between things. It's so compact. Tell me what you think in the comments. Don't forget like and subscribe because there's more content coming on this kind of thing very, very shortly. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.